Hello and welcome to LTWS Backstage Chronicles, where we take you behind the scenes of the Little Theater of Winston-Salem. I'm your host, Jessica Perry, and we're excited to bring you an inside look at the incredible people, productions, and creative process that make our shows come to life. In this episode, we'll be diving into the process of bringing a murder mystery to life on stage as we speak with the set and costume designers. And our director, Elizabeth Reif, gives insights into creating suspenseful atmospheres and characters in Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. Whether you're a theater enthusiast, a longtime Little Theater supporter, or just curious about what happens behind the curtain, you're in the right place. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to LTWS Backstage Chronicles, found on all major podcast platforms, so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, be sure to leave us a review. It really helps us reach more listeners. Now let's dive in. Here with me today is the costume designer, Tara Raczenski.
Hello.
Set designer, Fatima Njie.
Hi.
And director, Elizabeth Reif.
Hello.
So we have about a little over 2.5 weeks left until opening night of And Then There Were None. How is everybody feeling?
Excited.
Excited, nervous, all of it?
Yeah.
Yes.
All the
things.
feels. Yes.
So tell me what it's been like for you guys, just collaborating together and creating the entire atmosphere that is And Then There Were None.
I was really lucky in that I got to meet early on with both Tara and Fatima and talk about their ideas and their visions for the set and the costumes. And it was really great because I felt like we were on the same page from the get-go. I was able to we were able to compare ideas and be like, oh, yeah, we love those colors or that texture, or, oh, that's great. I kind of like where you're going with. It was just really cool to be able to talk with them.
Yeah, I will say I'm glad we had that initial meeting because usually with directors, we don't start that early. Like we met in June.
That was May, I think, actually.
May.
I was really excited.
And so I was able to get all the logical stuff out. We set up the ground plan and I was able to focus more on the artistic side of things, like the look and the colors. And that was really helpful for me.
And she did not laugh at my sad picture that I brought her of what my idea was. She was like, I can make that look beautiful.
Oh, I wish I knew what that picture was.
I have it.
You'll have to show me after the interview.
The before and after.
I think I put it on my fridge actually.
Oh, wow. I could have signed it. I'd have been like a kindergartner. Here's my artwork is.
Oh, that's great. You got to bring it back so she can sign it.
I will.
It'll be worth some money someday.
That's true. Mm-hmm. That's true.
You could raffle it off.
Wow. My dad is coming to the show, maybe.
He's your biggest fan. I love color so much that I'm a really big aesthetic person. So tell me more about the colors of the costume, for example, and how that worked in with the set. So I know set design and costume design kind of have to collaborate a bit more because you don't want them to clash with one another.
Right. I think the goal is always blendy, not matchy, you know? And so having a chance to talk about stuff before any of the work actually got done is very helpful. And having, Elizabeth's vision in the back of my mind is also really helpful too, because I could be going rogue and have no idea, and then you do all this work and, the director says they don't like it. So we avoid all of that by having, early production meetings and having a director that has a clear vision, but is also willing to, listen to you and take your ideas into account and, really care about your creative input. So it's just been a dream team in response to that. But I think the process for costume design is really, just begins with researching the time period, finding what's, the color palette that would have been used during that time, considering the time of year, which is summer, what people wore in 1939, how to pull from our huge stock of over 10,000 rentable pieces available to the community at ltofws.org. You can go on there and check out our costume shop information. But yeah, so using what we have in stock, figuring out what needs to be built and bought and borrowed. And as far as the color scheme goes, I think we just wanted to, well, I don't want to spoil too much, but, keep things light and bright. It's, after all, a summer holiday that these 10 people are going on. So we didn't want to telegraph too quickly that, things turn dark. So,
They do?
And then there were none, right? So I think we were trying to keep things kind of happy, which I like that. I loved that idea when Elizabeth shared that with me, and I was like, yeah, I can totally get on board with that. And I think the set design has a similar feel. I mean, this is a beach house. It's got a very glamorous, style to it, and from the pictures I've seen, it's all going to kind of blend really beautifully.
Right, because it's not just a beach house; it's an huge estate on a private island.
Right, exactly.
Oh my goodness.
So I will say that it's the best day ever when I see that Fatima has updated her presentation, because I can see it in my drive when it's updated. And then when I get texts from Tara with pictures, it's like, yay, look at what's happening. It's really cool.
So this has been really fun.
It really has been.
So this is your first time directing?
For Little Theater, yes.
Yes. I know you've stage managed
Yes.
for 30 years.
Yes. So it's been interesting to switch roles and to I get people come and ask me my opinion, and it matters, and that's so exciting to be able to do that.
Has that been challenging at all to separate, I'm not the stage manager anymore?
There are times, but Kathy is really patient with me, and she's like, it's okay that you just said that. It's fine.
I've been hearing a lot about your vision for the show. I know this may be just a vast question or very open-ended question, but what exactly is your vision?
Oh my. Oh. This came up at our first meeting, and I thought, oh my gosh, I was supposed to have this elaborate presentation. And so I grew up loving mysteries. That's kind of the first books I remember reading were all mysteries. So I love, and Agatha Christie is one of my favorite authors. But kind of like Tara said, that there are so many layers to her stories. I mean, most people hear Agatha Christie and they know it's going to be a murder mystery, but the environments change, the people's characters change. This one very much is set up as these people are thinking they're headed off to have this amazing week-long vacation. I mean, sure, there's a secretary along, but she's not really thinking it's a holiday post, so not super work intensive. And so that whole idea of that everyone is happy when they get off the boat and climb up to the house and come in, and it's this breathtaking place that they're like, this is going to be an amazing week. I get to stay here and look at this because it's beautiful and sunny, things like that. And it isn't, we were a little bit in before things take a turn and things turn, people get, what's going on now and what is going on? It's hard not to spill the beans, and you don't want to do that. So, but I've been very thankful that my ideas, whether it was the sad drawing or just conversations about colors and style, to have had people really supporting that and making me feel like it's been really cool.
Have any of you worked together before?
Have we? I feel like we have. What's the last show you designed?
The last show I did was Trouble in Mind.
Okay, so I wasn't on that one.
Oh, then
no, that was Frenchie.
Oh,
Frenchie Laverne.
Wow.
So this is it feels like we've known each other for a long time.
Does.
Yeah.
Especially after our first meeting together.
Yeah.
I left feeling really good because
good.
you told me that the color scheme that I came up for the set worked perfectly with costumes. So it was like that.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it doesn't. But in this case, that was really cool. And Elizabeth, we've worked together
several times.
Yeah.
I've been lucky. It's always great when you came up to me and said, "Guess what? I'm going to do the costumes for," and then there were none. I was like, "Yay!" Because it's always nice when you have a known and someone that you can count on and you can trust and has great ideas.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
And I had seen Trouble in Mind, so I knew. I was really impressed with your work on that. So I was like, yay, it's great.
So, Tara, do you feel like you specialize in period costumes, or is there anything in particular?
I think I secretly just want to live in another time period, and so that's why I really do gravitate towards historical shows.
If you could design my wardrobe, I'd go back in time with you.
Gosh.
And
yeah, oh my gosh.
Same. I'm there.
So many beautiful things, you know. In the midst of, you know, this dark and terrible, you know, situation, you get to create, you know, these costumes that are, you know, fashionable and glamorous. And, you know, it's interesting. Usually it's the women's costumes that I gravitate towards the most, but I've had more fun with the men's suits and their tie, you know, these Art Deco ties and putting their ensembles together. And, I've been really, really enjoying that aspect of the wardrobing, you know. And not that I haven't had fun with the women's stuff too, but yeah, I'd say you know, 1939, brink of World War II, you know, but still nobody knew it was coming really, and so there's this kind of carefree feeling about the play, but also the costumes, you know. Light fabrics, chiffons, and linens, which are a pain to iron, but, you know, like, they look great on stage, you know, when they're nice and crisp. And you know, it's nice for the actors, too, who usually get weighed down with, like, all this heavy stuff. Like, I remember when we did last murder mystery we did, which was Murder on the Orient Express, took place in the winter. The play took place in the winter, but you guys were rehearsing around the same time, so it was, you know, dog days of summer, and you guys did your photo shoot with all these heavy coats on, you know, because it was supposed to take place in the middle of winter.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and it looked fantastic. At the train station and all that, but
it was helpful at the theater
Yeah.
when it was really cold backstage.
that is
Just
cool.
bundle up with a
That
fur
is
coat.
good. Yeah.
That was the first time we worked together too, wasn't it, Elizabeth?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great show.
Oh, that was-
Denny Forbes designed that and just did a fantastic job. It looked so good. But yeah, the actors will get, you know, to wear some lightweight, you know, summery fabrics and you know, get to kind of breeze around the stage, looking fantastic, hopefully, and, you know, feeling good. So.
Can I give a shout out? So I want to say that
absolutely.
we were kind of talking about this beforehand, but like they're creating the picture that we're going to see on stage with the set and the costumes and creating that environment. But equally important are the elements that other members of the design team are bringing. So Jason Irons, who is designing the lights, and Sean Hooper, who's designing the sound, are going to help take that set and transform it from this sunny, bright, like the lighting is going to really impact just show us what it's like to be on a hot summer day on the coast of England and what happens when, like, not just the kind of the ominous feel that the show takes on, but that's going to be reflected in the change because a storm does come up. There's a sense of isolation. It's going to get dark. There's a scene with just candlelight and how you convey candlelight without being able to use real candles, still needing to see the actors, all those things.
You can't have real candles?
No, we cannot have real candles. And then, you know, to back all that up, you've got to have sound effects and music from the period. So it is convenient that I happen to know the sound designer really well, so I've spent a lot of time listening to tracks and sound effects at home. Yes, if you didn't know, that's my husband, and so it's been really great. So I felt really immersed at home too in the process. But they are contributing a great deal to this whole package that y'all are going to get to come and see.
It seems like it'd be a lot of fun for this production in particular when it comes to picking out the different types of lights and sound and costume and set and just getting to have fun with the mood and how the mood changes. Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be really great to see all those elements combine. I mean, we still need another couple of weeks of the rehearsal in the rehearsal room, but I think when we can bring in all those other elements, it's going to be really exciting.
Well, I can tell with the cast as well that they really kind of, you can tell they've already bonded and they get along really well with one another. And I think that helps too.
Oh, definitely. Yes. They're excited to come. This is a cast where we're like, oh, it's 6:50. Everybody's already here. Let's go. Because everyone's really excited to get to work and dig in.
I don't know what it is about a murder mystery novel where the cast is just really excited to like get together and do the show. So it was like that with Agatha, with the Murder on the Orient Express. We were all just so happy to be there.
I think you need that when you're doing a heavy piece like that, like the camaraderie, the good feeling, the getting along. I think it's kind of a defense mechanism against, the darkness,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without giving too much away, because I know this show goes from light to pretty heavy.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, we dig deep into these people's lives, their past, what brought them there, what that driving force was, and what they all have in common, which is not evident from the beginning as they're introduced. You kind of explore the different layers of their characters, from the vacation goers to possibly bad people. Again, it's so hard to not say too much, but yeah.
So again, without giving too much away, are there any elements in the set or the costume pieces that audience can kind of look for, or any kind of clues as to their characters or what might happen? Is there anything you can say that won't give too much away?
Well, I believe so. So whenever I make sets, I like to put myself into the brain of the character, because this is in a mansion. So I was just thinking, like, what this character, how they would decorate it, and what pieces they would put in there. Personally, I think that the character would get the help of a interior designer because of the lavishness. And the word I was going for, I want the audience to see the set and they think it's opulent. Not only lavish and extravagant, but also very intentional, a little pretentious, actually, because of how I think this character is, without giving too much away. And I will say that the color scheme that I picked, I lean more towards blues, because blue is a very interesting color. Like, it can be very calming in some light, and, we want to give that feel of this is a vacation. But as the story progresses, blue can also feel a little cold. Like, it can get really chilly
Like the
quickly.
ocean.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite color, so that did not. That was helpful. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Well, blue is very versatile and works with multiple other colors too, so it probably helps with costume design.
Yeah,
to play a nice background on that.
Yeah, for sure. So we wanted to go with, some blues and reds and corals for the photo shoot, but there'll be some differences in the show than what you might see in the publicity photos. So, some of the costumes will be the same, but when you're doing a photo shoot, you have your close up, and you want to focus on some of the details that you might not get to see from your seat in the theater. But yeah, whereas the set is opulent, the characters are more middle class. They're not. None of them are. Maybe one or two have some wealth, but most of them are. Like the secretary, she's not going to have a lot of money, and then there's, Emily Brent, and she's, kind of down on her luck a little bit, and so these are people that aren't going to be walking in like silks and satins, and
They're not traveling with a maid who's going to do or a valet.
Right. So that was kind of an interesting line to try to balance. They're not poor, but they're certainly not extraordinarily wealthy, at least, for the most part.
Which might explain their motivation for just going to
Free vacation.
vacation
I'd go.
in this opulent state on a private island. Yeah, why not?
And in terms of things to look for, so integral to the storyline are 10 figures, which there are 10 people in the show, and there are 10 figures in each. This is kind of a representation, but again, having the right people around you. My day job was with Summit School, and I have a colleague who works in our design studio who does a lot with 3D printing. And when we started talking about the figures in, versus clay or other metal or kind of modified chess pieces, we talked about the world of 3D printing. So I went to him, this is Cam Whitley, and he has really jumped on board and has each individual figure is different. And then we're printing them at school, and it's been great to collaborate. Again, someone else on the team who's like, hey, here are some pictures, and he's made them come to life. So be sure to look out for those.
Oh, that's wonderful. So one thing we didn't really talk about, but another part of the technical side is props and how props play into the story as well. And
A lot of drinking.
Yeah, I was going to say the number. Yeah, that's literally when in doubt, they're going to go get a beverage. Most of the time, it's like whiskey or I feel like that's the drink of choice. Then there's coffee. So yes, there's lots. Yeah, and when in doubt, pretty much. And their letters, some really cool. Jeff Driver is our props master, and he came in yesterday with some. Samples of some logo work he'd done because some of the letters come from the Ritz, and he really worked to kind of recreate that logo. So he's someone else who has a great attention to detail and really wants everything to be right, which is really, again, really lucky.
one thing I really like about Jeff and the work that he does is that he does put in the detail on some of these prop pieces that you won't necessarily get to see
Right.
from the audience, but it's there.
Right.
And that attention to detail is every little bit comes together, and it makes it just this amazing production. But the cast get to see it, and they
Right.
get to interact with it, and it makes them. I mean, we're building the world for the audience, but also kind of for the actors too. We're giving them a playground to play pretend.
Right. And it's a huge step when you move from, the rehearsal room, which is, bare bones situation where, we're sitting on 3 chairs as a sofa and all the furniture looks basically the same right now. But we're going to make that jump on stage to the really cool pieces that Fatima has picked out. So, yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Look at something that's comfortable.
Ooh,
Or
nice.
a sofa that doesn't separate under you because it's actually a real sofa. So. Tara in particular will be very excited about the real sofa.
Yes.
Oh, yes, because you're pulling double duty in this production,
Yes,
aren't you?
I do. I play a small part in the show.
There are no
but-
small parts,
No,
Tara.
Right. I forgot about that one.
You're an integral part to the story.
Well, thank you.
So, what has it been like designing a costume for yourself?
Actually, I was like, oh yeah, I've got to get a costume for myself. I was so focused on, all these other things. And I was like, the photo shoot was coming. I was like, oh, I hadn't even thought about what I'm wearing, which is so unlike me.
I know you were the last one to get. Yeah, I think you were the last one to get dressed for the photo shoot too. We were like, come on.
But I actually have really enjoyed it. It hasn't been stressful at all. The cast has been wonderful, like just so welcoming of, the different things that I've had them try on and me switching hats, from actor to designer. And, it's been, one of the things that makes it easy is that it is a small cast. And for the most part, people wear the same thing the whole time. So I've been able to really put a lot of attention into, just those few pieces. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. It's the best of both worlds. I love to perform, but I also love to design costumes, so I get to do a little bit of both, which is unusual.
And it's very reassuring because if something should go wrong with a costume or, like, let's say something that couldn't be prepared easily, you'd be ready to fix to make it still look right. It'll be great. So for me, I'm like, yay, Tara's there.
So you have to now be in every show that you costume for.
I don't know. I don't know if I can do that. I honestly, I don't. I was telling somebody this over at the costume shop today as I was working on it. That if this was a musical or a bigger show or it just would be really hard and stressful to try to do both. But the stars kind of aligned with this one, and so I think there's certain shows where this is possible, without creating problems for myself or the cast or other people, and this just happens to be one of them. So thank you, Elizabeth, for casting me. I've really had a great time. Elizabeth's a great director. She's very giving to the actors, letting us, participate and create, just like, you have with the rest of the creative team. The actors are very much a part of that process. So,
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. That makes me feel good. Can we do this all the time? Because it's like makes you feel really good about yourself.
Yes. I mean, we may not always be in this studio, but we can meet up anytime and just talk about how wonderful each other are.
I think that's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's theater.
Yeah.
well, it's little theater for sure. That's one of. I mean, I've been involved with little theater for now. I don't know, 8 to 9 years, something like that. Actually, going on 10. But it's been like that. It's been overwhelmingly positive. Every show. I mean, every show has its challenges and stresses and so forth. But the vibe here is very family-like. It's very friendly and giving and loving. So
That seems to be the consensus.
yeah. So
It was great last week. I mean, I'm going to switch hats briefly. So I'm also on the Little Theater board and work with the volunteer committee a lot. And we have volunteer socials. We've started that. We had our second one this past week at Fiddle and Fish. And it was great to see volunteers from front of house, from the shops, actors, running crew, things like that. So people coming together, and it was like everyone is mixing and mingling. So it's not all the actors in one corner and all the techies in another corner. People were really there, united by their involvement in Little Theater.
Because it's not very often that those groups are in
Correct.
the same room
Yeah.
together.
Or-
Some
well,
work
or
on production and never see each other.
Right. Or you are in a situation where I can't just go chat with an actor when I'm running crew because, they probably need to be doing something else. But providing that kind of social outlet. And we will be doing another one on November 9th at Be Kind in Clemens. So we're going to switch up the venue and the day of the week. But yeah, we've gotten a really good feedback about these socials.
It's been really fun, and I think it's a great way for new volunteers because the last social we had, there was a couple of people who hadn't volunteered before but wanted to volunteer and thought it'd be a great opportunity because it's more like a safe way to trial something out. Let me go to this public place and
See what the people are like before I know. Yeah.
before we send them to our shop with people they don't know. 'Cause
Yeah, but it was great because all of the staff was there and we're able to meet people. So yeah, so if you've met Daisy or Tara, it's okay. These are the people who I might encounter at the shop, or Tab, who works in our scene shop. So yeah.
Because some of the scariest part about putting yourself out there is not the doing, it's just the unknown. Like, I don't know the location I'm at. I don't know the people that I'm going to be interacting with. It's that fear of the unknown that's scarier than anything else, which
is a theme of our play.
is the theme. Yes, it's the theme. Let's
Bring it back to the show.
None.
Look at that. That was well done, Tara.
Cheers.
That is true.
The unknown.
And the unknown.
Inside joke. You'll have to come to see the play to find out what I mean.
That was really good. We sound so profound.
Does anybody have any last thoughts that they would like to share about the production? How about this? Is there any specific challenges that we have faced or that you have faced in this? No.
Because I'm knocking on wood.
No big challenges.
Challenges.
Challenges are not necessarily a bad thing. It's not problems. We're challenges.
Okay, I think this is the only thing I can say without giving anything away. So part of the big thing of the set is, in addition to the blue, there's like this gold trimming and molding, which was a big part of the early 1900s and the French interior design. And it's not as easy as it looks. Like, okay, me and Tab spent about 3 days playing Tetris with the trimming on the wall and the molding, trying to the challenge was trying to fit it with the wall set pieces, like the mantle and the shelf, the bar. And it's just how, to make it look even and to make it look intentional. It was more challenging than I thought it would be, for sure. But it's going to look good.
There's a little geometry to what you do, isn't there?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Geometry with all the things on the walls and the windows.
Geometry is about the only math I was good at.
I was going to say, this is an application for those of you who think math is not useful. Hey, you can be looking at your own home and trying to figure out what I should do with the walls, and you might need these things.
Believe it or not, you will still use it. I know you won't. I'll never use this again. You might just. Maybe you'll become a set designer.
Yeah, I will say there was one beautiful painting that I was going to use above the mantle, but then after doing the math, I discovered, oh no, the painting is too big to go with the trimming on the wall, so I got to find a different size and this.
Yeah.
But that was the biggest challenge. And if that's the biggest challenge, then we're set.
Oh, I cannot wait for this production. Just my involvement that I've had so far between the promotional shoot, which is really all I've gotten a chance to dive into just yet, but it was just so much fun being around the actors and seeing them kind of interact with each other in character, which is always fun. And just seeing the costume pieces and knowing the story and read the story, I'm really excited and looking forward to it. So any last words?
I just want to say thanks to Tara and Fatima and Jason and Sean and Jeff and the rest of our production team for all they're doing to create the environment. So yay.
We could not do what we do without the help of all of our volunteers in our community.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's all for today's episode of LTWS Backstage Chronicles. We hope you enjoyed this behind-the-scenes look at the making of And Then There Were None. A huge thank you to our guests for sharing their time and insights with us. And also I want to thank Such and Such Media for being Little Theater's 90th season media sponsor. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share this podcast with your friends. You can find LTWS Backstage Chronicles on all major platforms. And of course, check out our website at www.ltofws.org for more updates on upcoming productions and events. Stay tuned for our next episode where we'll be speaking with the director and actors of Little Shop of Horrors. We can't wait to take you even deeper behind the scenes. Until next time, I'm Jessica Perry, and thanks for joining us here at the Little Theater of Winston-Salem for Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, running September 6th through 15th at the Haynes Brands Theater. See you at the theater. The views and opinions of this podcast are those of the contributor and not necessarily those of our distributors and hosting company. This podcast is copyrighted. Use of this podcast without express permission may result in alien blood-sucking plants taking over the world. You have been warned.